I was standing in the Hall of Verdicts when the doors decided to make a statement. Not a polite statement. Not a diplomatic one. A statement like something heavy is coming, and it does not care about your feelings. The council doors are not doors really. They are slabs. They are mountains that swing. They are old, scarred metal plates that have watched empires kneel and species vanish from the records like a name wiped off a terminal with a trembling hand. When those slabs opened, every throat in the chamber tightened. I tightened mine too. Not because I was brave, because the air always tastes like copper in that moment, and my body thinks it is about to be eaten. That is the Deathworld Council for you. 37 seats. 37 species that crawled out of planets that tried to kill them every hour. Acid rains. Bone-eating molds. Predators that learn to open doors. Gravity so cruel it makes your bones argue with each other. This council was built as a warning. If your species is lucky enough to grow up on a gentle world, you do not get invited here. You get protected. You get patted on the head by a polite envoy. You get told to stay in your lane. And if your species is unlucky enough to be classified as a Deathworlder, you get a seat. You get a badge. You get a voice. You also get tested. Constantly. The tests are never written down. They are social. They are instinctive. They are nasty. I should know. My name is Rel. I am a junior transcript clerk for the Vanta delegation. You have never heard of the Vanta. That is fine. Most species have not, because we keep our mouths shut and our ships quiet. We are not bullies. We are survivors. There is a difference. My job is simple. I sit in the third tier behind our lead speaker. I run the language filters, and I record every official sound the council makes. Unofficial sounds are everywhere too. The snorts, the clicks, the wet laughs, the little predator noises that certain delegates make when they smell weakness. I record those in my head. You learn faster that way. On that day, the unofficial sounds were eager, because the humans were finally arriving. Humans, the newest Deathworlders. The only species in recent memory to survive their assessment period and still look amused. I had read their files. Everyone had. You cannot stop people from reading a file that has words like high endurance, unusual pain tolerance, competitive social bonding and my favorite line written by a frightened assessor who clearly needed a long vacation. They smile at inappropriate moments. We had watched their trial feeds too. The human candidates, thrown into council simulations, hunting mazes, toxic atmosphere drills, predator mimic ambushes, heavy gravity gauntlets. They should have screamed. Instead, they argued about snacks. I remember the clip where a human woman tore open a ration packet while alarms were wailing and said casually, "If this thing bites me, I'm biting it back." The council replayed that clip at parties. Not the gentle worlds, the Deathworlders. We replayed it like a joke that was also a warning. The doors opened wider. The lights along the entry corridor brightened, as if the chamber itself wanted a better look, and then the humans stepped into the Hall of Verdicts. No armor, no ceremonial plating, no intimidation harnesses, no trophy scars displayed on purpose, just fabric, t-shirts, and smirks. Actual, relaxed smirks, like they had walked into a cheap food stall and were deciding if the menu was worth it. The chamber went silent, so hard it felt like pressure against my eyes. I heard my own breathing. That was bad. I heard the water in the atmospheric pipes. Worse, I heard Chair King Voln of the Brat Confederacy stop chewing. Now you need context. Voln is the kind of delegate who chews during speeches on purpose. He does it to remind you that his species eats while others talk. Voln's a bully with a throne. Voln stopped chewing. Across the room, the Koran envoy's spines lowered. The mere delegate's jaw fins flattened. The Dras war matron who once broke a table with her forehead because the table looked disrespectful, sat very still. The humans took 3 steps forward and paused. They looked around. They did not bow. They did not flinch. They did not glance at the predator murals carved into the walls. Every other newcomer always glanced. The murals are designed to provoke that reflex. If you look away, you fail a little. If you stare, you pass a little. The humans barely noticed them. Their lead walked in front. Hands loose at her sides. Shoulders easy, face calm. Her name tag read Sarah Chin. Yes, that's Sarah Chin. The one whose file had a footnote that said, "Do not attempt intimidation with volume." She wore a plain black shirt that looked like it had been folded in a hurry. The fabric sat on her like it belonged there, like the council hall was her living room. And she might ask if anyone had a charger. At her side was a tall man with a light beard and a grin that seemed permanently half-formed. His tag read, Adam Ryder. Behind them, 2 more humans. A woman with close-cropped hair, eyes sharp, tag Lena Vol, and and a man with a quiet face that kept flicking to exits like he was mapping them without thinking. Tag K. Morrow. 4 humans, 4 pieces of fabric, 4 smirks that were not even trying to be polite. My mandibles wanted to lock. They didn't. I took notes. Chair Prime Sava, the council moderator, rose slowly. Sava's not a bully. Sava is older than some of the stars on the banners. Sava's species, the Orin, evolved on a world of storms and stone. Their voices sound like gravel sliding down metal. Humanity, Sava said, and the word echoed around the hall. You enter the Deathworld Council under witness. Sarah Chin lifted a hand. Not high, not dramatic, just a small wave, like she was greeting a neighbor. Hi, she said. Hi, Adam Ryder added, with a friendly little nod. Nice place. I watched Chair King Volt's throat sacs pulse once. The Brack do that when they are deciding whether to laugh or bite. Vaughn did neither. Sava's gaze lingered on the human's clothing. I saw it. Everyone saw. In accordance with protocol, Sava said, you may present yourselves with the customary symbols of survival. Sarah looked down at her own shirt as if noticing it for the first time. Then she looked back up. We did, she said. Silence again. A soft clicking laugh came from the car inside. It was not friendly. It was the sound they make when they smell a mistake. Vaughn finally resumed chewing, slowly, as if he had remembered himself. The sound was wet and deliberate. Customary symbols, Sava repeated, with more emphasis now. Armor, scars, crests, tokens of your homeworld's brutality. Lena Vale leaned in toward Sarah and murmured something. The translation filter caught it, because human whispers are not actually quiet. Tell them the laundry machine ate our battle flags. Adam snorted. It came out as a short laugh. He didn't hide it. Sarah's smirk widened just slightly. Our homeworld's brutality, she said, is the reason we're wearing t-shirts. I blinked. That sentence alone was a knife. A simple one. No flourish, but a knife all the same. Sava's face did not change. Orin faces rarely do, but I noticed the slight shift in posture. The hall was listening harder now. Vaughn swallowed. I watched the movement like it mattered. Then Vaughn stood. His chair scraped the floor with a scream of metal. His body rose like a cliff, thick and plated, tusks curving forward, eyes small and mean. The Brack are built to intimidate. They were engineered by their own planet, shaped by predator pressure until they became the predator. Vaughn stepped into the speaking circle without invitation. Protocol allows this. The council claims it encourages honest evaluation. Everyone knows it encourages bullying. Vaughn looked at the humans, then looked down because he had to. You come dressed as hatchlings, he said. His voice rumbled through the chamber. You come wearing soft skin. No plating, no blades, no warning colors, no respect. Adam Ryder's grin grew. Thanks, Adam said. We try. A few delegates shifted. That was not the expected response. Volson's tusks flexed. You mistake this hall for a market, Vaughn snarled. Your kind is new. Your kind thinks survival is a story you tell yourself at night. Kai Morrow. The quiet one spoke for the first time. His voice was calm. Survival is a habit, Kaya said. We practice it a lot. I hated how simple that was. I hated how it landed. Vaughn leaned closer, breathing heavy. He wanted to smell fear. Humans smell like heat and salt, and stubbornness. I knew that from the files. Vaughn did not find fear. He found something else. It was on their faces, in the angle of their shoulders. It looked like patience, not gentle patience. Predator patience. Vaughn tried again, louder. Your clothing insults this chamber. Sarah nodded, as if she was taking a note. Okay, she said. Do you want us to change? Vaughn's eyes narrowed. Yes. Sarah glanced behind her. There was a small carry case at the entry, sitting on the floor like it had been dropped there casually. She pointed at it. In there, she said. We brought formal wear. Sava did not interrupt. That was interesting. Vaughn stepped back half a pace, as if allowing the performance. Sarah walked to the carry case. Her steps were relaxed. I watched every muscle. I watched every blink. In this chamber you learn to watch hands. She unlatched the case. She reached in. Voltsin leaned forward. Several delegates leaned forward too. Sarah pulled out another shirt. It was still a t-shirt. White, plain. Adam reached in next and pulled out a second shirt. Also a t-shirt. Lena pulled out a third. Kai pulled out a fourth. Vaughn froze. A sound tried to form in the chamber and died halfway. Sarah held the white shirt up like it was a sacred relic. This one's clean, she said, and her voice was almost apologetic. Almost. We figured the council might like something bright. Volon's jaw twitched. That twitch, on a brack, is a warning sign. Usually it means violence is coming, but Voln didn't strike. He looked around. He realized something before I did. Everyone was watching him now. The bully had stepped into the circle and the humans had not broken. Worse, they had made him look silly. Voln's tusks flared. He forced a laugh. It came out wrong, thick and wet. You mock us, he growled. Sarah shrugged. A little. There was a ripple. Not laughter. Not yet. Recognition. Because every Deathworlder in that room knew something the gentle worlds never learn. Mockery is not the opposite of fear. Mockery is what you do when you are not afraid. Sava finally spoke. Chair King Voln. Return to your seat. Voln did not move. He stared at Sarah like he wanted to carve her name into the floor. You will be tested, Voln said. Now. Sava's voice sharpened. Not without vote. Voln's gaze flicked to Sava. For a fraction of a breath he considered defiance. Then he sat back down. Slow, heavy and silent. When Voln sat he did not resume chewing. That was the second time the room shifted. Sarah turned back to Sava. We're here, she said. We understand the rules. We'd like to join. We'd also like the snacks situation addressed because the hallway vending machine took our coins. I felt a laugh spike in my throat before I could stop it. It escaped as a cough. My lead speaker elbowed me sharply. I stopped making noise. Sava's gravel voice did something strange. It softened. Just slightly. The Deathworld Council does not have vending machines, Sava said. Adam looked genuinely surprised. That explains a lot. Sava raised one hand. Protocol requires declaration. Humanity. State your origin classification. Sarah's face sobered. Just a little. Like a curtain sliding. Earth, she said. The word hit the chamber like a stone dropped in still water. Earth, the new Deathworld, the one with oceans that eat continents slowly. The one with predators that hunt for fun. The one with storms that rewrite coastlines. The one with diseases that do not care about treaties. Earth, Sarah continued. Voice steady. We are classified as Deathworld Category 4. Gravity standard. Atmosphere breathable to most council species with filters. Predation index high. Environmental instability, moderate. Sapient aggression historically high. Historically, Lena Vale repeated, with a little smile that did not reach her eyes. Sava's gaze narrowed. Explain. Lena tilted her head. We've been trying this thing, she said. Not killing each other as much. It's not perfect. But we're making progress. Voln made a low sound in his throat. Disbelief. Sarah nodded toward Voln. He doesn't buy it. Voln's tusks twitched again. Sarah turned back to Sava. We're not here to pretend we're harmless, she said. We're here because we're tired of being treated like a problem that needs a cage. A murmur moved through the hall. That line was dangerous. Not because it was aggressive, because it was honest. Sava's voice stayed calm. The council's caution is earned. Kai Morrow spoke again. So is ours. Sava studied them. You have been warned. Deathworld Council membership is not ceremony. It is responsibility. It is restraint. Adam Ryder gave a slow nod. We know. Sava lifted a hand. Then you will answer one question before the first vote. The chamber leaned in. This was the real test. The first one always is. The one that decides whether you are a seat or a spectacle. Sava asked. Why do you dress this way? Sarah blinked. Like the answer was obvious. Because if we showed up in armor, she said, you'd assume we came here looking for a fight. And if we showed up in robes, Lena added, you'd assume we were lying. And if we showed up in medals, Adam said, you'd assume we were proud of the worst parts of ourselves. Kaya's voice was quiet. So we showed up in what we wear when we build things, fix things, argue with friends, go to work. Sarah's smirk returned. Smaller now. Control. We showed up as humans, she said. Not as a threat costume. I felt my skin prickle. That was it. That was the hook. The trap with a smile. Because half the council had built their identity on being a threat costume. Sava let the silence sit. Then slowly. Sava nodded once. The council will proceed, Sava said. First vote will be scheduled after the trial of posture. That trial made my hands go cold. The trial of posture is not a physical fight. Not directly. It is a walk. A simple walk across the central floor from the entry to the council dais, while every Deathworlder in the room projects intimidation, scent release, sound pressure, minor gravitational pulses, visual threat displays. The gentle worlds faint just watching the recordings. Many new species stumble, some freeze, a few run. If you run, you are not ready for this council. Sarah looked at Adam. Adam cracked his knuckles casually. Lena rolled her shoulders. Kai breathed out, slow and steady. They didn't ask questions. They didn't complain. That was wrong. That was suspicious. Sava raised a hand to begin, and Chair King Vaughn, in the exact moment before the trial started, leaned toward his microphone and spoke softly like a poison delivered politely. Humans, Vaughn said. When you fall, we will remember this clothing. We will remember your smirks. Sarah turned her head just enough to look at him. Her voice was calm, almost warm. Good, she said. Remember this too. Then she stepped forward. The trial of posture began. The chamber changed. Pressure rolled out from the seats like heat from a furnace. Rear delegates released sharp pheromones designed to trigger prey panic. Karin spines rattled, creating a sound like bone knives scraping together. Draswar matron Draga let her throat glow and bellowed low, a resonance meant to vibrate fear into the chest. Even my own delegation released a subtle shadow frequency that makes the mind think of corners and teeth. The floor lights dimmed. The mural seemed to move in the corner of my vision, and the humans kept walking. Not fast, not hesitant, just walking. Sarah in front, shoulders loose. Adam beside her, eyes bright, grin faint. Lena slightly behind, scanning the room like she was judging everyone's form. Kai in the rear, calm, aware, red. The pressure hit them, and they did not flinch. Valin's eyes widened a fraction. Draga's bellow faltered. The Karin spine stopped rattling for one heartbeat, because the humans were not just resisting the intimidation, they were recognizing it. Sarah's lips moved as she walked. The translation filter caught it. Feels like a crowded elevator with someone holding fish. Adam's quiet laugh puffed out. Or my uncle's barbecue when he forgets the vents. Lena's voice amused. I've had worse on public transport. Kale's voice, very dry. Don't mention transport. I'll start remembering smells. I stared at them, stunned. They were talking through it, like it was weather, like it was annoying noise, like it was a familiar pressure they had lived with their whole lives. And in that moment I understood something I had not understood from the files. Earth did not just make predators. Earth made creatures that learned to joke while their nerves screamed. That is not bravery. That is training. Sarah reached the dais. She stopped at the exact mark. She looked up at Sava, and the room's intimidation wave, the combined force of 37 Deathworld species, broke against her like water against stone. Sava's eyes held hers, for a long moment. Nobody breathed. Then Sava spoke, voice low. Humanity. You stand. Sarah nodded. We do. Sava's gaze flicked to Vaughn. Vaughn did not move. Valtin did not chew. Valoon did not smile. He sat very still like a bully who just realized the new kid was not new at all. Sava lifted the council hammer. The first vote will proceed at dawn cycle, Sava said. Until then, humanity will be housed in the council quarters under neutral guard. Sarah smiled wider. Nice. Adam lifted a hand. Do the quarters have beds? Or do we have to fight a wall for sleeping rights? A few delegates made sounds that might have been laughter if they were less proud. Sava paused. You will have beds, Sava said. Lena nodded, satisfied. Good. Because if I have to build a bed out of metal again, someone's losing a table. I covered my mouth quickly. Another laugh tried to escape. I forced it down. Neutral guards approached. Tall, armored, silent, not threatening, just present. As the humans turned to leave, Sarah's eyes swept the chamber one more time. They stopped, briefly on my tier, on me. My throat tightened. I looked away fast. Reflex. Then I hated myself for it. When I looked back, she was still watching, like she had noticed my reaction and filed it away. Not cruelly, curiously, like I was a new kind of puzzle. Sarah lifted 2 fingers in a small salute. Then she turned and walked out. T-shirt bright under the hall lights. The doors began to close. Only then did the chamber breathe again. Valman's chair creaked as he shifted. His voice was low, but my audio filters caught it. That is not posture, Valn muttered. That is arrogance. Driggett, the war matron, answered him with a quiet rumble. No, she said. That is certainty. The Karin envoy leaned toward their advisor. They did not react. They whispered. Not even one. My lead speaker, who rarely spoke to me directly, leaned back just enough to let their words fall into my hearing. Rel, they said softly. Make sure your transcript is perfect. My mandibles clicked. Yes, speaker. They hesitated, then added. If humanity is voted in, this council changes. I swallowed, because I realized the same thing. The bullies had gone silent. Not because the humans were loud, because the humans were comfortable. And comfort in a room built on intimidation is the most dangerous sound of all. As the doors sealed shut, my console pinged with an incoming private note. Unmarked sender. Council internal line, 2 words. Watch them. I stared at the message until my eyes hurt. Then I looked back at the closed doors, and for the first time since I took this job, I felt something I did not know how to label. Not fear, not admiration, not even curiosity. Something closer to a warning that came with a grin, because Dawn's cycle was coming, and the second test was never a walk. The second test was always a choice. Dawn's cycle arrived the way bad news always does, quietly, politely, and far too soon. The council quarters lights shifted from night blue to a pale warning hue, the kind designed to wake predators without startling prey. It worked on neither. The predators woke alert. The prey woke afraid. And the humans woke like it was a normal morning on a planet that tried to kill them daily. I know this because I was reassigned to observation duty. Junior Clerk Rel, my speaker said, not looking at me, which meant the order was final. You will monitor the human delegation until the second vote concludes. I swallowed and accepted the slate. That was how I found myself standing outside the human quarters, holding a recorder, pretending my hands were not trembling. The corridor smelled different near their door. Heat, fabric, something sharp and bitter that the translator identified as roasted bean residue. They were brewing something. The door slid open before I could announce myself. Adam Ryder stood there, barefoot, holding a metal cup. Oh hey, he said. You must be the note-taker. I am a transcript clerk. I corrected automatically. Same thing, he said cheerfully. Come in. Careful, the floor is cold. I stepped inside and immediately understood why the council insisted on neutral guard postings. The humans had rearranged the room. Council quarters are modular, sterile, identical, designed to prevent territorial instincts. The humans ignored that. They had stacked furniture into clusters. One wall was covered in hand-drawn markings using a non-permanent stylus. Lines, shapes, arrows, notes in their blocky script. Lena Vale was stretching near the window, slow and deliberate. Kai Moro sat cross-legged on the floor, eyes closed, breathing measured. Sarah Chin leaned against the central table, sipping from a cup identical to Adam's. She glanced at me. Morning, she said. You look like you slept badly. I do not sleep, I said. I enter rest stasis. Adam grinned. That explains the vibe. I did not know what that meant. Sarah gestured to a seat. You're here for the choice trial, right? My mandibles tightened. Yes. Kai opened one eye. They still call it that. Yes, I said. It determines whether your species is suitable. Lena snorted softly. That's polite phrasing. Sarah's tone stayed calm. What are the parameters this time? I hesitated. The second test is not announced publicly. It is meant to expose instincts. To see what a species values when rules become flexible. They will present a scenario, I said. A controlled crisis. You will be given authority over another delegation. Your decision will be judged. Adam blinked. Authority how? I looked down at my slate. Temporary command. Lives may be simulated. Kai's eye opened fully now. Simulated, he repeated. Yes, I said quickly. No permanent harm. But the responses are real. Sarah nodded slowly. Who's the other delegation? I checked the sealed file. My throat went dry. The Brack Confederacy, I said. The room changed. Not dramatically. No shouting. No sudden movements. Just a shift. Adam's grin faded. Lena stopped stretching. Kai sat upright. Sarah straightened from the table. Sarah exhaled through her nose. They picked Volm. Yes. Lena laughed once sharp. Of course they did. Adam rubbed his face. Let me guess. He gets to play victim. I did not answer. Sarah looked at me. What's the scenario? I swallowed. A transport failure. Volm's delegation will be trapped in an environmental collapse. You will control the response resources. Resources like rescue, Kai said. Yes. Or withdrawal, Lena said. Yes. Sarah's eyes hardened. Not angry. Focused. They want to see if we let him die. That is one interpretation, I said carefully. Adam leaned back against the wall. And if we save him, then you will be judged for prioritization choices, I said. What you give up to do so. Lena crossed her arms. They want blood without blood. Sarah nodded. Classic. She looked at me again. Rel. Off the record. I hesitated. Then nodded. Do they expect us to fail? I answered honestly. Yes. Sarah smiled. Not the smirk this time. The kind that made my instincts whisper run. Okay, she said. Thanks for the heads up. The escort arrived shortly after. Neutral guards. Silent. Efficient. The council chamber was already active when we entered. Volm sat heavily in his seat. Tusks polished. Armor plates gleaming. He did not look at the humans. He looked at the ceiling as if bored. Sava stood at the dais. The second trial will commence, Sava announced. Humanity will be granted provisional command authority for the duration of the scenario. A low murmur rippled through the chamber. Voln's lips curled. The lights dimmed. The central hollow field activated. A space station bloomed into view. Brack design. Heavy. Angular. Orbiting a gas giant whose storms flickered in angry colors. Sava's voice narrated. Station cartel. Environmental stabilizers failing. Core breach imminent. Evacuation incomplete. The hollow zoomed in. Brack figures moved through corridors. Some limping. Some carrying others. Vaughn leaned forward now. Interest sharp, Sava continued. Humanity, you have access to one rescue flotilla. Limited capacity. Time constraints severe. A timer appeared. Sarah stepped forward. She did not hesitate. Status, she said. The hollow responded to her voice authorization. Structural integrity declining. Life signs. 300 Brack. Rescue capacity. 100. Time to collapse. 7 minutes. Adam whistled softly. They're not subtle. Lena leaned close to Sarah. Volin's people first. Then he gets to crow about mercy or weakness depending. Kai scanned the data. Or we can save the most vulnerable and let Voln decide how that looks. Sarah nodded. Options. Voln spoke finally. Choose quickly, human. My people are dying. Sarah looked at him, then stopped talking. She said, You're wasting oxygen. The chamber gasped. Volsima's tusks flared. You dare. I dare to work. Sarah replied. Rel, record this. I nearly dropped my slate. Yeah, Sarah addressed the hollow. Priority protocol. Non-ambulatory first. Structural engineers last. Vold slammed a fist on his armrest. My warriors take precedence. Sarah did not look at him. Your warriors can carry 2 others each. If they refuse, they wait. Adam added. Also, route evacuation through maintenance shafts. Less debris, Lena pointed. Divert power from weapon systems to life support. You don't need guns in a collapsing box. The hollow adjusted. Vol's own stood. You will not strip my station's defenses. Kai turned his head slightly. If someone attacks a dying station, that's their problem. A few delegates made approving sounds. Vol's face darkened. This is sabotage. Sarah finally turned to him. No, this is math. The timer ticked down. 6 minutes. The rescue flotilla launched in the hollow. Brack figures began moving faster. Some resisted. Some followed orders. Volum watched. Fists clenched. 5 minutes. 1 Brack collapsed. Another hesitated, then lifted them. 4 minutes. A corridor caved in. Lena rerouted paths without blinking. 3 minutes. The rescue capacity filled. 90. 95. 98. 2 slots left, Adam said. Volin leaned forward, eyes burning. Me. Sarah looked at the hollow. Then at Voln. Then back at the hollow. Where are you? She asked. The system highlighted Volum's position. A secure command deck. Reinforced. Stable. You're safe, Sarah said. Volt snarled. My status demands priority. Kai spoke quietly. There's a child in Section 12. Trap. The hollow highlighted it. Time remaining 2 minutes. Sarah closed her eyes for half a breath. Send the last 2 slots to Section 12, she said. Volin roared. You will doom me. Sarah met his gaze. You're a Deathworlder, she said. Survive. The chamber was silent, except for the timer. 1 minute. The rescue flotilla pulled away. The station shuddered. The hollow froze. Scenario ended. Lights returned. Voln stood, shaking with rage. Sava raised a hand. Results. Sava said. Life signs saved. 100. Voln survived. Voln blinked. The hollow. Updated. A final data point. Vold had escaped through an emergency pod after the main evacuation. He had never been in danger. The chamber erupted. Not chaos. Not shouting. Laughter. Low. Respectful. Deadly. Volin looked around, realizing too late what had happened. Sarah spoke. Voice clear. You wanted us to choose between mercy and fear. We chose neither. We chose responsibility. Sava nodded slowly. The council has observed. Sava said. Humanity prioritized function over pride. Survival over dominance. Restraint under provocation. Vold sank back into his seat. Smaller somehow. Sava lifted the hammer. The vote will now be cast. Lights flickered as each delegation signaled. Green. Green. Some hesitated. Green. Even the Karin. The tally completed. Ununanimous. Sava struck the dais once. Humanity is seated. The chamber exhaled. Sarah let out a breath she had been holding. Adam grinned again. Lena relaxed her shoulders. Kai closed his eyes briefly. I realized my hands were shaking. Sarah turned toward the tears. Her eyes found me again. She smiled, not a smirk. A thank you. Later, as the chamber emptied, Volm passed the humans without a word. He did not meet their eyes. That mattered. As I finalized the transcript, my speaker leaned close. They did not dominate. They said softly. They did not submit. No, I agreed. They normalized. The speaker nodded. That may be worse. I looked at the humans laughing quietly among themselves. T-shirts rumpled. Posture easy. For the first time since the Deathworld Council was founded, I wondered if the most dangerous species were not the loudest, but the ones who walked into hell dressed for work.